So the moment I stepped my foot in the business school, I started participating in this, like all these events and forums and groups and student groups that were like focused on entrepreneurship. And I think that was the before and after of Thomas as an entrepreneur, because he developed in me these skills and this mindset that you have to have whenever you are an entrepreneur, and to be open to find some ideas and find like business opportunities everywhere. So I think that's going to be the first recommendation that I'm going to give you if you're looking into participating in entrepreneurship world, to start participating in these events and go to the forums and go to the startup weekends and go to, like this big events that there are, and listen to the people that has already been there, like in this entrepreneurship path, because you can learn a lot in their stories and in their success stories. There's whenever you notice and whenever you realize that if they could do it, then you could do it.
You can do it.
They don't have anything special. Exactly. And whenever you listen to their stories, you are like, oh my God, it's exactly like me, or I'm in that position as well. And the only difference between this guy and me is that he started first, and that's it. It's not that he's better. It's not that he has like these great skills and great abilities. It's not that. It's only that we started first, and we stick to the path and stick to the vision, and that's it. So yeah, that's how it all started. About the business idea, because this is something that I really want to share, because it was not maptag at the beginning. Maptag was the result and was the conclusion of a very, very, very complex process of validation with the market and this pivot phases in entrepreneurship. But the thing is that the first idea that I had was a drowsiness detection system in order to prevent drivers to fall asleep while driving. And this business idea came to me in a very random situation, in a very daily situation. At the beginning, I didn't know that it could become a business idea. The thing is that I was in a road trip with my dad. We were coming back to our hometown at the middle of the night. And the thing is that my dad is very, very active and very intense. Like he has a lot of energy, and I don't know if I'm like him, but the thing is that he's very, very, very active. And I remember that I was asleep. I was completely asleep. And then I started feeling that the car was bumping into the bumpers in the road. And then that's when I was like, what is going on? I woke up and I noticed that my dad was falling asleep, and very dangerously, because when I look at him, he was already like heads down and stuff. So what I did was to, like, thankfully I had the opportunity to alert him, so he could grab the wheel again and recover the control of the car. The thing is that was the moment when I thought, what if there was something that could actually do exactly the same that I did without the need of having a person beside you, because there's also risk that the person falls asleep as well. And there's a lot of risk whenever you're talking about human interaction. So yeah, this is when I started thinking about this idea. But that was it. I mean, I didn't think that it could become a very cool startup or a very cool project. Nothing like that. And that was it. I just let it there, and the idea was there, and that's it.
Think,
after like a couple of months, and after a couple of months, I remember that I was invited to participate in an entrepreneurship event. I think it was a business model competition. I don't know if you know it. It's an international competition, and it's very, very cool to participate in, because it is for very early stage startups and very early stage ideas. And you have the opportunity to develop the entire business model and to validate the idea and to, like to give the first steps, which is the topic that we're discussing right now. It is focused on that, to give your first steps in building your tech startup. So it was perfect for me. That was an opportunity that I had. I think it was in third semester. I was very, very early in my career. So it was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's participate. I don't know what's going to happen in this contest, but let's do it, and let's do it right. So I took the idea that I had, which was the drowsiness addiction system, and I developed the entire business model. And the thing is that I went through this research phase, which is a very, very, very important part at the beginning. Even though that you have the idea, you really, really need to focus on the investigation and research of the problem, and to see if it is really a problem. So what I found out when I was in this research phase was that it indeed was a very, 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 very hard issue for specifically for transportation companies, because it could translate into $12.5 billion in losses per year, and up to 75,000 people that were injured because of this issue. So it was really a problem, and it was a very big problem that it had to be solved by someone right away. so I took the responsibility. So and my mission, and my vision was a little bit more in the human part. I wanted to save lives, and I mean, I gave you the context about the medical school, because that was something that I wanted to do at the beginning, and that's why I decided to go to med school. So I found an opportunity to translate that vision into the business world, into a startup, and that was my why. That was my motor,
your
and
reason,
my my reason why, exactly. And yeah, that's something that I decided to do. And I developed the entire business model. I presented the project in the competition. We won. I mean, we were in the most like promising projects in the 10 most promising projects in the region. So it was very, very, very cool to participate for me in this event, because that gave me the sense that I had potential, and that my ideas had potential. Because I mean, it's not about the idea. It's not about the business itself. It's about you. It's about how you develop it. It's about falling in love with the problem, not the idea. And this is something that you need to understand at the beginning, because it is very plausible that your idea is going to change. And you have to understand this, and you have to be in peace with that idea. So yeah. And that was it. I mean, we started developing. We started the validation process. I don't know if I'm going a little bit further in the question.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's
can
great.
I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
All right. All right. So after I noticed that the idea had a lot of potential in the business part, I started like the path to try to develop the idea, or try to develop a prototype of the idea, because but by that moment, it was only in paper. It was only the business idea. So the thing is that I started participating in these events, and this is how I found my co-founders, which is something that we're going to talk about later on. And I'm going to give you several tips to be able to find the right partners and the right business associates, because it's very, very, very hard. And I went into a process of several business partners that at the end they didn't want to continue. So it is a normal phase and a normal part of the process. All right. So I found this business associates. We're gonna go a little bit deeper further on. But the thing is that we started developing the prototype, and we had a conceptual prototype. It was a pre-prototype.
Okay.
So the thing is that whenever we had this, we started having exposure in the market, because we started, like winning prizes and winning contests, and there was a lot of companies that approached us because they liked the idea, and they wanted to be the first to test it and to try as early adopters. And the thing is that it was very cool for us to handle the entire process like this, because it gave us exposure, and it gave us the opportunity to reach out the market, which was the most important part at the beginning.
Okay.
And this is where the validation process for us started. We started talking to several transportation companies, specifically, of course, in the transportation industry, because that was the market that we were targeting. And the important part of this entire process was that it got us into the logistic industry, in the transportation industry. And the thing is that whenever we were talking to them, they were fascinated with the idea. They were very excited with the, like the concept of the business. But the thing is that whenever we went a little bit deeper into the problem, they told us that it was a very cool idea, but that was not the main issue that they were having.
Okay.
And that was a very like a huge
eye-opening
shock
moment,
for us.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was an aha moment because we were like, what? Like, but you told us that you wanted this and that it was very cool. And they were like, yeah, it is cool. But the thing is that we have more more basic issues that we need to solve, and greater problems that that had a greater impact. And that's whenever they started telling us that they were struggling with the like the resource consumption in terms of monitoring the vehicles, or in terms of optimizing their routes, their delivery routes. They lost, they completely lost control of the operation. So they were operating it, but they didn't really know how they were doing it. And the thing is that we noticed that there was a very, very, very big issue that they needed to solve. And the thing is that I think that was a moment whenever we were very, very honest with ourselves, in order to understand that the idea that we liked and that they liked was not really the idea that they needed and that they were struggling with. So there was a very, very, very hard moment for us, because we needed to like detach emotionally of the idea, and be able to think further, and to be able to understand, right? And to listen to the customer. Exactly. And I think this is the biggest recommendation that I can give you, to listen to the customer. It doesn't matter what you want, it matters what the customer wants. And this is there was a moment whenever maptag was born, because maptag started as a very, very simple monitoring system that was a little bit like better than the ones that were in the market. But after that, whenever we started listening to the customers, we realized that we could do something more and something bigger and something greater, a little bit more integral in terms of targeting their customer pain points. But the thing is that we needed to have this process, and we needed to get to the customer, even though that we had already a path behind and a progress behind, in terms of like the concepts that we have won, and the traction and exposure that we already had with the idea. And
decide to change
very honest
in that moment.
Exactly. And that's whenever we pivoted.
Yeah. Okay. And Tom, at that point, did you raise any capital at that moment, or you raised capital after you changed to this new idea?
You mean institutionally, or
I mean, like,
whatever the capital can look like.
Exactly. Exactly that.
Yeah, we had already kind of raised a small amount of money, but it was a little bit more because of the contest that we had won, and the people that had trusted us in the idea, so we can start developing the prototype and stuff, but not raise money like that. Because it was only like grants and these prizes and etc. Yeah.
Okay.
But not actively. We were not looking for investment actively, and I think it's going to be a topic that we're going to discuss as well later on. But I want to give you several tips, depending on the stage that you are in, about the financial opportunities that you have in the market, depending on your stage. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, and that's exactly my point. Like, we would love to listen to your experience on fundraising. I mean, like, we understand that it's a process, and normally most of the entrepreneurs see raising a fund or as a milestone, right? Like, they say, like, okay, we need to raise our pre-seed round or seed round or Series A, and they see that as the main goal. What in reality is more like you need to build a business, and the money will come afterwards, right? Like, that's part of the main concept. So I would like to listen to your experience on that process. How do you start with the fundraising? What do you recommend for the early stage, and so on?
All right, sure. Well, fundraising is a very, very, very controversial topic in entrepreneurship, because it is true that money is needed. And I mean, well, whilst it is not the most important part of the entrepreneurship path, it is important. It is like very like it is important. The thing is that there are a tons of financial opportunities that you can look for, and that's what I was telling you like before. Depending on your stage, it's the one that you have to focus on and to look into raising, because if you're in a very early stage, it is a complete mistake if you focus on raising capital from like these VCs or like venture capital or very institutional funds, because they're gonna eat you alive, and this is not what you want. So yeah, I mean, for us it was very organic, and this is something that I want to share with you, Omar. The process, the capital raising process for us, it was something that happened that we were not looking to do at the beginning. Whenever we started growing, that's whenever we stopped and said, all right, we now need some money. So we started the raising process. But the thing is that at the beginning, we did it ourselves. We bootstrapped as much as we could. We invited some other people to trust us and to invest in us, which were our first, I call it like that, like first angel investors, but they were from the 3Fs, like friends, family, and fools.
And fools, right?
and this is, yeah, exactly. And this is my first recommendation. Like if you're in a very early stage, try to do it bootstrapping as much as you can. After that, whenever you run out of money, find someone that can trust you, that really trusts you, which means that it's something that you know, and means that it's something that is going to believe in you, even though that the idea is not developed yet. So it's going to be a family, like a person from your family, friends, or
your network, right?
Like
your personal network.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. And after that, or if you don't want to do that first, you can start doing it as we did. We started participating in this contest. You can win prizes. There's a lot of institutions that actually incentivize entrepreneurship in young people, or not that young people as well. and not only that, also, for example, specifically in the United States, there are governmental grants that you can actually apply to, and you can have these financial funds where like everywhere. I think in Mexico is a little bit more complex to do that from the government, and this is why there is private funds and private like participants in the entrepreneurship world that actually give away this money in order to incentivize the ecosystem. So this is the first, very first financial opportunities that you have in a very early stage. After that, whenever you go through that phase, and whenever you start growing a little bit more, my recommendation is to find these kind of accelerator programs, because they also sometimes they give you financial support.
Yep.
Not that much. It's gonna be like $50,000, $60,000 US, but it's something that you can work with for like a while. So yeah. In order to start and in order to take your product to the market, which is the most important part at the beginning. That's like the second financing option that you have. And in that stage, I also recommend you to find maybe an angel investor.
Okay.
But not someone that it's an institutional angel investor, because they're gonna eat you alive if you do it in that phase. Maybe it can be someone, maybe it's someone that doesn't really know you that well, but can trust you and can trust your vision, and that accepts the terms that you can negotiate with them in a fair negotiation. So this is like another opportunity you have.
Okay, Tom,
you want to say something?
Yeah, and in this case, what you mentioned that they're gonna eat you alive is because they will ask you for more equity than you should provide at that moment, or what happened? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean whenever I say they're gonna eat you alive, because they're gonna give you not that much money, and they're gonna take a lot of equity from you. So because that's how it is. I mean, you don't have this leverage and you don't have this negotiation power in that time in order to tell them, no, but my company is worth more.
Yeah.
And it is actually, I mean, in the future, it's gonna be worth a lot, or it's gonna have a higher valuation. But the thing is that in that moment, you don't really have the power.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, Tom. And what kind of instruments do you use for the early stages? We have heard about convertible notes and saves, and also
Saves,
that.
yeah.
Okay, can you tell us more about those?
Yeah, sure. At the beginning, in a very early stage, I recommend you to do it like that: saves or convertible notes. Do you want me to explain a little bit of how they work? Or
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, sure.
Well, a convertible note is an instrument that whenever you raise capital, it can be either converted from debt into equity, depending on several factors that happen. It can be time, or it can be milestones, or you have the opportunity to buy your stocks again and to repay the debt. So yeah, this is a convertible note. I think this instrument is very useful at the beginning, because you don't really lose control and you don't really lose participation of your company, which is the most important thing that you have to be careful with whenever you're in this financing process. And yeah, this is a very cool instrument. I think actually the save, I think, was introduced by Y Combinator, right?
Yeah, it was,
because they understood the position that the entrepreneurs were in that stage, and they were kind of protecting them with this big VCs and venture capital, so they didn't eat them alive. So
yeah.
this was the main purpose of this instrument, and I recommend you to use them. If you don't really have the opportunity, or you don't really know how they work, get advisor from an expert, get a lawyer and talk to them to help you how to do it. And if the VC or the person that you're talking to doesn't really want this kind of instrument, I think that's a red flag at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that he might not be the
best.
Like the best option for you. Exactly, the best investor for you. But there's some other instrument that you can use, which is direct equity. You can yield part of the equity of the company for an amount of money, but that's the most traditional way to do it. I don't really recommend that. You can find more intelligent and more safe ways to do it.
Yeah,
Safer way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom, and I believe that that's the most important thing, right? At this moment, a lot of investors, angel investors, early stage VCs, they realize that the best instruments are the convertible notes or SAFEs, because they work for both sides, right? In that end, it helps entrepreneurs and also the investors to move quickly and get everything done. So that's great. And
correct.
What happens afterwards? I mean, like, you already raise your seed round, and I don't know if you're looking to raise a Series A or Series B now, but what's the next steps on fundraising? How do you convince the next round of investors to invest in your company?
It takes a lot of ability and, and a lot of metrics.
Nice.
All right. Yeah. I mean, in order to go further in the process, whenever you are growing and you want to level up, the thing is that you need traction, and you have to focus on the metrics. And this is something very important that you need to understand. You have to take care of the metrics since the beginning. You need to I mean, it's not the most important part that it's gonna give the direction of your business, because at the beginning it doesn't matter. You have to grow at all costs, and it doesn't matter. You need to go to the market, and you need to grow and stuff. But after that, if you're talking about in a more like advanced stage, that's whenever you need to start focusing on the metrics. You need to focus on the unit economics, on your customer acquisition cost, in your lifetime value of the customers, in the payback, in the runway that you have, in the cash burn that you're having. I mean, there's a tons of metrics that the investors in a very like institutional venture capital or investment fund is gonna ask you. So the thing is that you do need to focus on them. you do need to know how to sell them, because the thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs ask me if their metrics are right or wrong. And the thing is that it's not that they are right or wrong, because it depends a lot on the industry, and it depends a lot on what you're doing, on the concept itself. But the thing is that where it's gonna take you next with those metrics, if you can prove that even though that you have this kind of metrics which might seem bad, for example, but they're gonna take you to the next level, and it's gonna take you to like this huge revenue and a huge like this huge growth. I think it's going to be a no-brainer for the investment fund, even though that you don't really prove that you have the most healthy metrics and the most healthy unit economics. But yeah, this is something that you really have to focus on.
Okay. That's great feedback. I would like to take a moment to remind the audience that you can ask as many questions as you want. You can use the Q&A section. There's this button right next to the raise your hand one at the bottom part of the screen, where you can share your question, and Tom will answer them. So Tom, let's jump now.
And I just want to,
yep.
But I just want to add something about that part, because that might be something tricky for entrepreneurs that are just starting their business, which is the main topic that we're discussing. Yeah. For people that wants to start a business, I don't want to scare you with the metrics and with the process that you have to follow next. I think at the beginning, the most important part is that you can prove traction. But proving traction means a lot of things. It doesn't mean sales. It doesn't only mean sales. I mean, it also means sales, but it doesn't only mean sales. Proving traction can be how many downloads you're having, how many views that you're having if you're a content creator, how many shares that you're having, how many how many users, how many testers, how many early adopters that you have. That's early traction, and that's something that it's worth something, and that's something that the company builder VCs are gonna value a lot of your company. So don't be scared that if you don't have like a very huge amount of sales. The thing is that you really need to what you really need to have at the beginning is knowledge, and that traction, in that early traction, that's gonna give you that. So as much as you can learn from your market at the beginning, like in our case, go to the market, go to the customers, talk to them, have insights, have this aha moments and eureka moments with them. That's the most important part of the beginning. So don't be afraid. I don't want to scare you with the metrics and the unit economics and stuff at the beginning. All right.
No, it is great, Tom. It is great advice. And I believe that it is part of the process that you need to be very organized, right? Like I remember someone saying like, the best way to raise money is that you become really, really organized, and you can show that you have learned a lot from your early adopters and your early customers. So great feedback.
Exactly.
And let's jump now on the other part of the topic that is regarding the building your team, right? In this case, you mentioned earlier about getting your co-founders and also the first employees. So how does that work?
Yeah, it was very hard. It is very hard, but it's something possible. It's something that I want to clarify. It's not impossible. All right, how we did it. For us, it was such a roller coaster in this part. I mean, it has all been a roller coaster in entrepreneurship, just like that.
Always.
But the thing is that at the beginning, I started with some other business associates. And at the beginning, the ones that I chose to be my partners were my closest people. Like it was my friends, and it was my, like this schoolmates that I knew, and even family as well. There's a lot of people that ask me if that works. For most people, like for many people, it works, and it's something very possible. But for me, it didn't. Okay. Because the thing is that they do have the love for you, and they
care.
I mean, they care about you, but they don't really respect you. So it can be a very, very hard process to deal with, because whenever you try to be in this professional like mindset and want to do it very big and very, you know, like you have this very big vision, sometimes they are not in the same page, or they are like, yeah, sure, Tom, you're follow your dreams. and that's it. I mean, they don't really have the respect for you in order for you to achieve that. So if you have that, and if you find your co-founders or your team within your family and your friends, that's great. That's something that for some people works, but for me the process was very different. The recommendation that I'm going to give you is, as I already told you, participate in as many events, in as many forums in entrepreneurship that you can, because there's where you're going to find the people that is on the same page, in the same mindset that you are, because that's the people that wants to be in the entrepreneurship world, and that kind of understand what it takes. So the thing is that, because the thing is that if you invite your friends or your family, they don't even know what they are going into.
Right.
and whenever it gets bad, because it is gonna get bad,
Yeah,
it's something for sure. They leave, and they don't have this, you know, like this resistance to the hard path, to the hard like the hard stuff that can happen.
Resilience, right?
So exactly, resilience, exactly. And the people that goes to these events and goes to these, you know, like hackathons and startup weekends and these entrepreneurship events, they already have that mindset, and they already know what entrepreneurship is. So it's more plausible that they're going to continue, even though that they find difficulties in the way. So this is how I found my co-founders. I'm going to tell you real quick a story how I found them. It was in startup weekend. It was Megacentro in Guanajuato. It's an event that you gather people from a lot of states and a lot of cities in all around Mexico. And the possibility that your co-founders, I mean, the people that was in your team, the possibility that they were in from the same hometown, it was very, very, very low, because there was a lot of people from Guanajuato, from Monterrey, from Querétaro, from like all around Mexico.
All around the country.
Exactly. And the thing is that whenever I pitched my idea, I remember that there was these three guys that approached me, and of course in the pitch I told them what I needed, because I told them that I was the entire like business part and you know, like the negotiation part and the talking to the client part and stuff, and that I needed people from the tech part, from the development part. So I remember these three guys that approached me, and they told me like, your idea is crazy, man. It's gonna be very hard to do it, but we are in. But
Nice.
We are not afraid to do that. So and that was something that at the beginning, like at first sight, it was a green flag for me, because it was like, damn it. I mean, these guys know, I mean, they know what they are going into. They are not afraid. Exactly. And they're not afraid. And they might be very good at this, because I think that the fear lowers down whenever you have the knowledge and whenever you have the, you know, like the capabilities to do it. That's whenever you don't really feel fear. So that's whenever I started working with them. But by that time, I didn't know that they were from the exact same hometown that I was.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's
cool. Exactly. It all came after that, whenever we started talking and after we started working in the business idea. Because I don't know if you know how the startup weekend works. It's like 30 days that you have to develop an idea from 0 to 100 in 3 days. And you have to develop it from the business part until the, you know, like the tech development part. So you have to present a prototype at the end of the 3 days. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was very, very, very good to find them. But the thing is that, I mean, I could never had the opportunity to find them if I was not, I mean, if I didn't take the decision to go to this event. And I know that for me, it was kind of like a mix of luck and the decision that I took of going to this event. But the thing is that I was there, and this is how I challenged the possibilities and
The
the
odds.
probabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I challenged the odds to find my best team. And the thing is that after I found them, it didn't mean that like they stick with me like all the time. Out of the 3 guys that approached me, only one is still with me, and it's my business associate right now, and he's a co-founder of Maptag, and he has been such an amazing co-founder, because this is something that we both understand from each other, that we are in different areas, and that we are a multidisciplinary team, and that we can both complement ourselves. And this is something very important. You have to find someone that can do what you cannot do, and you have to be the one that can do what they cannot do, because you have to complement the team.
Okay, Tom, and one quick question there, because that's actually a very important topic. You being a non-technical founder, how did you realize that these guys were the right people? Because you weren't able to evaluate them, right? And see like, okay, they're good or not.
They were not fooling me.
Exactly. You know, yeah.
All right. At the beginning, I didn't know.
Okay,
This is a reality.
Okay.
At the beginning, I didn't know, but I think this is something that you realize after you start working with the people, because I mean, knowledge and skills are not something that you can hide. And whenever, I mean, even though that I'm not a technical guy, of course I have been a lot, like, very into this tech development, and I have learned a lot of things throughout the time, because I want to, because I need to know if they're fooling me, and yeah, this is something that you need to know. But I don't get into the, like, the core of the development part, and I don't code and this kind of stuff. But the most important part is the results, Omar. I think that whenever someone is fooling you, it's someone that is not giving you the results that you need. It's someone that tells you, yeah, sure, we're gonna deliver in 1 week, and it has been past the 1 week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and you don't have anything yet. So this is whenever you realize that you are being fooled. But with these guys, it was not like that. It was something very cool, because they told me, like, yeah, in 3 days we have it, and in 2 days they were showing me, like, the first version. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I didn't know if they had programmed it in a specific language, or like programming language, or if they were using, like, the top technology, or the state of the art programming language. I didn't know that. But the thing is that at the beginning, as an entrepreneur, this is something that you don't really need to focus on. You need to have a product, you need to have a prototype, and even though that it crashes, and even though that it breaks, you need to launch it to the market, because what is the most important part is to have the feedback from the market. But yeah, this is something important. You need to be very vigilant, and you have to be very aware of the people that you are like being associated with. Not because you have to be afraid, and not because you have to be doubtful of your team, not because of that, but because you need to be sure that you are getting the best partners that you possibly can. So yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. And now that you mentioned that during this event, there were people from all around the country, so you didn't know that they were from your same hometown. But what will happen if they were from different cities? What do you think about remote work and doing, at this moment, home office, not being able to work in the same office with them?
Yeah, at that time, I think it wouldn't have, like, worked remotely, because I think it was in 2016. We were not familiar with the remote, like, jobs and to be able to have remote teams and stuff. But right now, I think it's something that it needs to happen. I mean, you need to have remote teams, and if you don't have it, then you're not being agile enough. So so yeah, I mean, the answer in that time would have been one, but the answer right now, it's another. I think the times have changed. So if you have remote teams right now, it's something very positive. But in that time, I think it wouldn't have worked for us.
Okay. And now that you mentioned about having a remote team, what recommendation would you provide in order to assure the best performance possible?
All right, to leverage on tools, to leverage on tech tools. It is challenging to be working remotely, but I think this is something that have given us, like, to the entire team, like, more freedom, like a more conscious way of living and working. Because I mean, so some people says that they are working more remotely, but if you think about this, I mean, I think it's a little bit more, like it's more flexible way to do it. And it's a more flexible way to do it, because if you want to, like, stand up and go for something to eat, or you have to be with your kids, or you have to, like, do some other stuff, you can do it. And I think this is very positive for the team. The thing that you really have to be very, very vigilant on is on their mental health. And this is very important, because working remotely is very challenging, specifically during pandemic, that the people couldn't really go out, and some people were completely alone, and they were only just working. No, you really have to have this dynamic and this culture in your company, that focuses on the mental health and of your employees and your team. And the thing is that I think it's a little bit more about the wellness at work. That's something that you have to be pushing, and you have to be be very vigilant. But the thing is that in order for it to work, you do need to have a little bit of kind of control, but not control, like visibility, just visibility of what the team is working on, to have the tools and for example, the like these project management tools like Jira, Asana, Trello, Slack. Yeah, exactly. So you can have this feeling that your team is working, and that they are doing what they have to do, and they are delivering. But at the end, the most important part is, it's not the hours that they have been working, it's the result that they give you. And if they are achieving and they are giving you the results, it doesn't matter if they did it in 1 hour, 2 hours, 8 hours. It doesn't matter. Right. And that's the culture that you have to incentivize in your company.
Got it. No, and that's great. And now that you mentioned about these milestones, these goals that the team has to achieve, how did you define? Let's talk about the technology side, the product development part. How do you define this milestone? How do you work with your team in order to set the goals and all this stuff?
All right. It has to be a very, 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 very good synergy between both sides. It has to be a synergy between the tech development part and the commercial part, the commercial area. Because everything that we design and everything that we, like the backlog that we have, it's because the customer is telling us that they really need those features. If the customer doesn't, hello?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Sorry, the earphone just made a sound. All right,
that's great.
So yeah, everything that we plan and everything that is on the backlog is something that the customer has told us. And if the customer do not tell us that they care about this functionality or this feature, and several customers tell us that, we don't really prioritize.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that you have to be very careful with. You need to exactly prioritize the features and the functionalities that the customers value the most, and you have to make this pool of like the backlog and start making some priorities and take the most. And I think it's a matrix of several factors. You need to evaluate the time that it takes you to develop that functionality, the money that it takes you to develop that, the people that takes you to do that, and the value and the like the importance to the customers of that functionality. And that's how you start planning the sprints and the entire Scrum methodology.
Nice. No, that's great. And one question that we have, I can see that we have one question in the Q&A section. I will read it out loud in 5 minutes more at the end of the session. So one question that we have here prepared is, how do you evaluate your competition? I mean, like, what process do you use for doing this benchmarking and see what's going on besides maptag?
All right. This is a controversial answer.
Okay.
What we do is we go like into the core of their businesses as well, because we need to know what they're doing. We need to know what the performance is of this competitors. And the thing is that whenever you are in the software industry, like in the SaaS industry, software as a service, it's very easy to be able to have access to, you know, to these trial phases and to download the you know, like the softwares and the apps of your competitors, and this is how you can evaluate them. I think it is really important for you to understand where are you standing at, what's your performance, and to understand what's the, you know, like the standard of your competitors, what you're up against too. So yeah, this is something that we do in maptag. We often evaluate the competitors, but it's not only that. It's not that we do it internally. And I'm going to give you like this example of how we do it. For example, if we optimize, I don't know, like 1,000 delivery points in one route, we do the exact same exercise in our competitors' platform, and we figure out how many time it takes for them to optimize the route, or like what is the result of the optimization route that they have and that our algorithm has and stuff. And then we grade them like from 1 to 10. What was the performance of these competitors? What was our performance? And yeah, exactly. That's how we do it. But that's not the only part of how we evaluate our competitors. It's also about the market. We also ask our customers if they know them. For example, whenever they come to us first, we ask them if they know our competitors and if they have used their platforms.
Okay.
And surprisingly, they always tell us that that's how they are coming to us, because their competitor is not fulfilling their needs. And this is why they come to us. And it has been great for us. I mean, not for the competitors.
But for you.
To hear that, because it's like, wow, I mean, everything that we have done, the customer values that, and the customer is noticing that we are more flexible, that we are more user friendly, and this is something that the customer really needs in order to come to us. And it's very, very, very like funny as well, because I mean, we can be still considered as a small competitor and a small participant in the market, but we just won an account to our biggest competitor in Latin America. And one of the people that worked in that company approached to us and told us like, yeah, we know that you won that account from us, and we now have you in our radar. So we were like, wow, so now we're making some noise, and they're noticing us. Yeah, exactly. And competition is not bad, and this is something that I really want to clarify. Competition it's great. Competition makes you better. Competition makes you like push you further and takes you to levels that you didn't even imagine, because it's a constant innovation. It's a constant creation. So yeah, this is something really cool for us. And of course you can know the competitors' founders, and you can actually talk to them, and you can be friends with them because at the end, well, it's competition. It's healthy as well.
Nice.
Has to be healthy.
Yeah, it has to be healthy. That's a great answer. Tom, I don't know if you can read the Q&A section that we have here. There's a bottom at the end of the screen. At the bottom part. Yeah, you can read it out loud and then answer, please.
Sure. I have one here which says, "Hello, Thomas. What happens after you've got the investors? Like, how do you choose how much do you can invest? In what areas? How do you decide where should that investment go, or how to define those priorities?" All right. that's something that you have to have first. You don't get the investor first and then define that because you will never find the investor.
Yeah.
You need to understand what are your needs. You have to have a clear vision of how you want to grow, and what areas do you need in order for that growth to happen. For example, if you define that you need to increase the customer base by 100%, for example, then you need to double the commercial team, or you need to double the investment in Facebook, in Google Ads, and stuff like this. So this is how you start defining the parts that you need to invest money on. You need to be very organized, and this is something that Omar said. Before you raise capital, you need to have everything in order. You need to be able to answer every single question that the investors are going to ask you, because they need to know where their money is going to go, and they need to know like every penny, like where you're going to spend it on. So yeah, this is something that you have to define first. How do you define the priorities? As I told you, depends on the vision, depends on the strategy. If your strategy is to go to the market, then you prioritize the commercial part. If your strategy is to build a product, then you prioritize that part. But depends on the stage. Of course, the first part is to have an MVP, to have the product, then go to the market, then scale the product.
That's great. That's an awesome answer there. And one last question that we have for you, Tom, is what is next for maptag? What are the next milestones, the next goals for your company?
All right, this is a really good question. We have a very clear vision to become one of the most important participants in the market in our industry. As I was telling you in the competition question, we actually a few months ago, like 3-4 months ago, started our expansion in Latin America, and it was great. We participated in the Startup Chile acceleration program, and this is whenever we started noticing that there was a very, very good opportunity for us to participate, even though that our main competitors are there. And the thing is that what's next for maptag is to continue that growth, to continue that expansion, not only in Chile and Latin America. We already participate in Canada, United States, Mexico, and Chile. So we're gonna keep on growing in those countries, and we're about to raise our Series A.
Nice.
So
congrats.
So yeah, we're preparing for that. This is something like the capital raising area is something that I have very, very like here right now in my hands.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk a lot about this. But the thing is that whenever you are an entrepreneur, whenever you're an entrepreneur, raising capital has to be a process that you have to focus on 100%. And this is something that you need to understand. You need to balance the priorities, and you need to balance the operation side, and how are you gonna delegate those tasks to the team, so you can start focusing on the investment raising part. And yeah, this is what's coming for maptag.
That's great, Tom. Well, to be honest, we very much appreciate your time today. It was great to listen to your experience, to your advice, your feedback, because it's very, very valuable. I'm pretty sure that we all in the audience enjoy it a lot. This conversation has been recorded, and we will share it with all of you. We'll follow up to the audience with an email sharing this video, and please feel free to reach out to Tom anytime. He's the best guy. He can always share all his knowledge so far. So if you have further questions, please feel free. We have shared his information in the chat. So we very much appreciate your time, guys, and we hope you enjoy it. And we see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the invitation.
Our pleasure, Tom.
Hope I have helped a little bit.
Yeah, it
right.
will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.